I've been in the hospitality field for 30 years. A little bit of side hiatus I took for some entrepreneurial initiatives 15 years or so ago. But I graduated from the hotel school. I came straight to Vegas immediately. No job, no nothing, just wanted to be here. So I started working at Caesar's Palace as a rooms reservation agent. And then for about 10 years, I was at Caesar's and moved all around the building from guest services to bell desk to all over operations, pool, spa, salon, concierge, business center, and then it really ended my career there in guest services and guest relations. And then I took my little entrepreneurial sidebar and I opened a bridal boutique and a floral design event company, and was married, had a baby at the time, and that I did that for about 5 years. And then kept it open because I wound up moving to Fort Lauderdale, hiring a manager for those, and starting with Atlantis in the Bahamas. And I worked in casino special events. I worked in guest activities because Atlantis has a huge, children's and guest activities. The special events there, like concerts, basketball tournaments, that we produced, and then all of the weddings and celebrations. So we did between the Atlantis Resort and also the one and only Ocean Club, which is right there in Paradise Island, we did about $11 million a year in just wedding business. So that took a lot of the time and the team, but I was going back and forth from Fort Lauderdale to the island, and then it got just too consuming. So my family and we all moved over to the island, lived there for a little while, and then my mentor that I had all the way from Houston for many, many years moved back here to Vegas, to the Venetian, and about 6 months later brought me back to Vegas. So been here about 10 years, 10 years next month. And I've had the role of special projects, of special events, also taken on the weddings and celebrations here. I've had community sustainability, and then also some time with partnerships, events, sponsorships, PR, internal communications, and influencer management, and then most recently have moved into a purely CSR role with community sustainability and DEI. The biggest initiative that we've had that I mentioned a little bit earlier is our Food Rescue Alliance. So it's been a great partnership between not only our team members, but also our convention clientele, as well as the local community and the nonprofits that are here in the community. So we, in our convention area, we have hundreds of groups a year, but we produce about 4 million meals for those groups every year. And even the smallest percentage of surplus is still thousands and thousands of meals. So we have always been doing our best to rescue those for over a decade. But we reached a point where we knew that we could do better and we could streamline the process, and we needed the right partner to do that. So we started working toward just a better solution that would allow the food rescue operation to be removed from the property and actually taken off property, but that we could stay very involved with them from the very beginning, build the program from scratch, work on it together. It took us almost a year to actually build the program, figure out the equipment needed, get the funding approved, and get everything into place before the first truck pulled up. That is, wrapped with Food Rescue Alliance, Venetian Resort, the Just One Project is the group that we work with here. And now minutes after a mealtime ends, the food is in temperature control boxes, put onto the trucks, taken over to a food rescue kitchen that we built with the nonprofit, and repackaged and out into the community the same day. So in that initiative, we've been able to rescue and continually year after year since 23, about 280,000 meals a year, because the funding that we provide also allows them to rescue from some other places as well. And then our volunteers are at Just One Project every week. So we have more, it's not just the food rescue. We also provide funding for other programs, and we also provide volunteers. And then in February of 2024, the program was actually recognized by the White House as one of the key programs in the country that is working to make a dent in food insecurity for the nation. Nevada is currently under the statistic of 1 in 8 are struggling with food insecurity, and many of those are children. So it's very important to our community, and the Just One Project luckily has a network of no-cost markets and pop-up food distributions, and so our food rescue just can plug right into their program and be out in the community on the same day. So it's been a huge win. We're very, very proud of the Food Rescue Alliance, and now it's just growing it to get other resorts involved, other programs involved. We've talked to different groups that come into the city just for once a year for different projects, and they want to get on board and make sure that their food is rescued. So it's just a continual ramping it up to make sure that it can grow and be a blueprint for other programs that are similar.
That's amazing.
I truly believe in the last 10 years it's become part of our culture. We're always out in red shirts, Venetian Resort, volunteering, being a part of the community, aligning with the different causes that are important to our team members as well. So making sure that from day one, I go to speak to new team member orientation every Monday, and we get them acclimated and introduced to what we call Love for All, which is our community involvement program, so that they know the opportunities they have and they can get out in the community literally on their second day of employment if they'd like to. We in Las Vegas feel like we're only as strong as the community that we live in. And so when there are critical needs that bubble up, we're lucky because our resort corridor really works together to tackle those. And even though we compete for business, obviously, but in areas like community, philanthropy, sustainability, these are not areas that we need to compete in. These are areas that we need to work together in. So we have a great resort association and critical need coalition that we meet monthly. We talk through best practices, how we can better support the community. So I think that we've seen it's staple. I mean, it's the foundation of so many of these organizations is that what we're giving back to the community. So I think that the CSR question that you had about why is it important to our industry is, I think it's a culture creator. It is what brings teams together. I mean, when our teams go out to volunteer together, they're building a stronger team, and they're also doing great things for the community. So I think if an organization doesn't have that layer of engagement, they're missing out on like so many benefits from what giving back to the community does. So. What I've seen is the overlap of sustainability and community, and how those are mutually beneficial for the organization and also the neighbors that live in the community. So I see a lot more involvement in teams getting out together, especially in our organization. We've really put a focus on that, but I also have seen it in other organizations as well. So what does it look like? How are you telling the story? Because, it's we don't do it because we want to tell the story, but while you're doing it, you should definitely tell the story. I think that there are organizations that, and we were very much like this many years ago, where it was like, we don't need to talk about it. We just need to do it. It's important to do it, but we don't need to tell everybody we're doing it, right? But there's so much benefit to telling people that you're doing it, because it brings more exposure to the needs. It brings more exposure to the different causes that you might not have known about, the opportunities that people can get involved in. And so now the way that the story is being told is just as important almost as the actual commitment to the community. What I'm really proud of here is that it's not us, like the big corporation, that's coming to the little nonprofit and saying, this is what you should do, and here's a check, and this is how we want you to do it. It is us sitting down with them, with their volunteers, with their leaders, with their board, and saying, how can we make the best impact for your nonprofit? But I do think that the overlap in being able to do sustainability initiatives that are also really impactful to the community is kind of a win-win. And if it's not a trend overall, it's a trend that I would like to see continue, at least in our building, and then hopefully provide some inspiration for others to do the same. You'll have different years that there's different things that are needed. So we might shift our focus from one drive to another because there was, a catastrophe in Southern California. So we have to be able to pivot quickly, and, being able to use our historical data to figure out goals and where we want to be, in the future, whether it's collecting items or volunteer hours is great, but also just being able to redirect if the need changes. So I'll be very excited to see what arises in the next couple of years that could make streamline the logistics of, for instance, even the food rescue, like understanding the need and what is left over at different things, and how the quickest way to get that from one place to another is like a dream project for AI, I think. But it truly is like getting into the uncomfortable and being able to say, I know this isn't what was planned for me, but sometimes there are mentors and people that see things in you that you do not see in yourself, and that opens the next door to something that you weren't expecting. I have said to many students, if you have a chance to work outside of the country, take the chance to work outside of the country or outside of your area. I think it's just, the perspective is incredible. I learned so much from my time in a different country. It's incredibly important to continue learning. You see a lot of people, not only in our industry, but also in others, that just kind of cap out. And I think when you get to a certain level, the learning and development opportunities aren't as readily available. So if you don't create them, you're not going to continue learning. And so I think whether it's staying engaged with the school or being able to, further your education, not only academically, but just like your world education, your, trying new things and learning whatever you can, because I think that once you stop learning, I think your career kind of plateaus, and then you're left behind, to be honest. And this generation will be coming right out of the gate with everything AI, but it's so important to not give in to only being technology. Like, you have to continue meeting in person, having some sort of connection. I mean, or our whole industry, it just flips, and it's not it's not that hospitality connection that we I got into the field for. And like we were talking about earlier, dive into the unexpected. You gotta, that's where the magic lies to me. I think that anything that you are providing, whether it's service, whether it is, personal or professional, if you're doing the one next thing that is providing something unexpected, then you are the memorable one. You are the one that stands out in an interview. You're the one that stands out in a cohort because you created that unexpected moment that someone will remember. If you are in an environment or you have a leader that you can tell is not developing you, or does not, it's just part of the grind, part of the job, but not looking at you as like, I need to develop this person. I need to make sure that I provide opportunities for them to learn, because that's what, I have spoken to so many people that were on my team or on somebody else's team here or in other parts of my career that were on the fence on whether they should leave the business, go somewhere else. And I think that you should give 150% to the organization while you are in that organization, but that it doesn't end with where you are. The industry is there for the taking. So sometimes you do have to move out to move up. The book Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, I highly recommend it, especially to women in this industry and any other industry, because her book is outstanding. But she talks about someone asking her the question, how'd you break through the glass ceiling? And she says, I didn't. All of the women that came before me broke through the glass ceiling. Oh. I have this open sky now, but they took the shards of glass and they took all of the impact, and now we have much more opportunity to really do whatever we want. And I think I was also just my childhood and the parents that I'm so close to, there was never a question that I couldn't do anything that my brother could do, or that I couldn't do anything that the boy down the street could do. It just never came up in conversation. So it never, I didn't even realize it was a thing until I got older and people start talking about this glass ceiling. And I'm just like, I'm just going to pretend that doesn't exist and align yourself with the right people that really want to see you develop and really want to see you do well, even if it means that you are not going to be working with them or for them anymore. That's where, when I say, if you are not happy here, or you feel like you've reached your, the top here, let's find you another opportunity. Yeah. And that's when this industry is so fantastic, because I feel like it's so small but so huge that you're going somewhere and you've probably met someone, went to school with someone, know someone that can at least have a conversation with them. And I think that if we don't use those tools and connections in this industry to elevate women leaders and young leaders in general, then we're shame on us, right? We should be passing the baton and helping the next generation make hospitality even better. So.